Hey, thanks for joining today. This video is going to cover tax investing news. We're really focused on August since we're just getting started here in the month. And we're going to cover 24 markets kind of quickly because this is supposed to give you an overview of what's going on this time of year, really this month, for each of these markets. Some of them are going to be more active than others, more auctions, and some of them might be dormant in their off season. So we'll cover some new states that have recently been announced, and we have two surprise states that we've not announced yet that we'll talk about as well. You're going to have to wait to the end of the video to see those two states, but we'll catch up to that as we go. So let's get started and talk about our totals since our last video. We've been very busy, added 50,394 properties to the site. These are properties you can research and purchase either tax liens, tax deeds, foreclosures on. The breakout of those numbers, 33,000 of those roughly were tax liens, over 12,000 were tax deeds, about 1,600 foreclosures, and almost 3,000 in land bank programs. Those are the properties that were added in the last few weeks. If we break that down by state, in the foreclosure category, Florida had the most with over 800, and then you can see Colorado, North Carolina, Indiana, and South Carolina all trailed it with 100 to 200 apiece. Colorado almost hit 300 there. So you see a few new states here that are tracking foreclosures now that we haven't tracked before, like North Carolina and South Carolina. The over-the-counter properties we added, we have Arizona, Tennessee. Arizona, a lot of those get removed and re-added. It's kind of tricky the way we track those, but if a list disappears and comes back with different properties, it just shows it this way. So Tennessee, it was probably our biggest with new properties being added, 2,837 in Tennessee, followed by Florida, had a lot of over-the-counter liens that were still being added into July, and then just a few smaller ones in Mississippi, Maryland, Arkansas. The Alabama ones are interesting because a lot of those are similar to Arizona where they are taken off and then added back. But in the case of Alabama, there's this long waiting list to get an over-the-counter property in some cases from the Department of Revenue. And when you see some of these properties that leave the inventory and get added back, sometimes they reset that waiting list. So anytime you see properties that are added in Alabama, it's great to apply if you're interested because you may have a shorter wait for those properties. And also on Alabama, there were some over-the-counter liens added that are not subject to that same waiting list, but we'll go over that further. And then if we're talking about tax auction properties, Indiana, we'll again get to that in a minute, but their fall auction season has largely been released. Michigan and Tennessee had a few thousand in there. Maryland has one more auction this year with over 2,000 properties in it. Florida's going to have those tax deed auctions every month. We have two surprise states with a few mystery county auctions that we'll talk about at the end of the video. I almost gave away the surprise here, but I went ahead and blacked it out for you. Texas, we just released a video on earlier last week, so you'll see another 743 auction properties were added. And then we get into the kind of the tail here: New Jersey, Ohio, North Carolina, a few hundred here and there. Virginia, New Mexico, Louisiana. All in all, it's 36,431 auction properties were added. And that brings us to just shy of 7,000 auctions that we've tracked this year so far, not including the ones that are scheduled coming up, which are 1,691 upcoming, where you can research those auctions right now. We have properties and dates and locations for 1,691 upcoming auctions. And in our auction calendar, this is the seasonal calendar that we keep coming back to and trying to keep up to date here. You'll notice Indiana is that fall season from August to October. That's highlighted in red. And then we'll call out Mississippi because they have an August season as well. Arkansas, we're dead in the middle of their auction season. And then Michigan as well, we've started that auction season. So these are the ones that are your seasonal, once a year type of, or maybe even twice a year type of auction seasons. But don't forget we have all these other auction markets where they go year round, and there's highlighted in red as well. This calendar should show you what you can invest in at auction this fall. And of course, this does not include over the counters. That's a different story. Those can be purchased typically year round. But if you're thinking about auction seasons, this is a good guide to help you understand each state. So on that note, let's jump in and talk about Michigan. So far in 2024, we have 107 auctions. That's 5,700 plus tax deeds. so far this year. We did make a video about this, so instead of going into a lot of detail right now, I'm going to refer you to our Michigan tax investing video that goes into great detail explaining these are redemption-free tax deeds at auction and why that's a good investment. And there's a few things to watch out for, and that video is going to cover that in more detail. So please go watch that if you're interested in getting into Michigan. You have online and in-person auction opportunities, and it's one of the cleanest deeds when you have no redemption on it. So let's take a look at our auction calendar here on Parcel Fair. 96 of those auctions in August. It looks like we're already, a dozen auctions have already happened. And then moving into later in the month, there's just tons of auctions. Some of them are tiny, 1 or 2 properties. And then when we get into September, I think we'll see, let's see, there's September. Some of the larger auctions come up, especially Wayne County, which is going to be Detroit. They did give us a date. We've been using a tentative date until the official one was announced. September 18th, 2,651 available parcels available in that tax deed auction. If you want to view those on the auction calendar, remember you can go to the list and list some properties out, or you could just go to the map. And when there's this many properties, I would recommend using the map because you're going to be able to spot neighborhoods and really visualize better this way. When there's only a few properties, I like to go to the list. But I mean, in essence, this is Detroit, and what we're seeing are properties that are going to be in the auction as redemption-free tax deeds. So just I'm just clicking on a few to show you, and we'll just take a sample one here. So this is a structure. Let's check out the panorama view. It looks like potentially a nice brick rental property, and you can kind of get a feel for the neighborhood looking around. Let's go back to our report. It's worth $22,000. One of the things that we discuss in depth in our other video is that a lot of Michigan counties don't list the improvement values, so we don't know how much the land versus the improvements would be. So this is a rough estimate on the we just know there is a house based on the street view. The Postal Service says it's occupied. It's in an opportunity zone. And one important thing to check out is the purchase option, which is going to show you how to buy it. This is the green button right here. And you see that the auction is coming up, and it's online. And there are links to go to the auction list, as well as the information about the tax sale here. So that gives you what you need to go find the property, attend the auction, register for the auction. And if you want to keep researching, we also have links here to the GIS map, property card searches, things like that, if you want to find more information about the property that's like deep in the county sources. So this is just scratching the surface on Michigan. If you are interested in this market at all, I highly recommend that you check out the video we just put out on this channel. And that video is going to give you just a lot of detail. And like I said, there's 5,795 properties here. You can see there's a lot going on just at a glance, even in some of these counties. Flint, Michigan, a lot of properties available there. That would be Genesee County. So anyways, 107 auctions, all happening headed into the fall at the end of summer here for redemption-free tax deeds. So check that out. And let's move on and talk about Tennessee. Tennessee has an auction season that lasts all year. That's a 12% interest with a penalty, which is the best kind of interest because you get that 12% if the redemption happens in the first week or in the last week of the year. It doesn't matter. You get 12%. It's not prorated by month or day or anything. The one-year redemption period is pretty nice for tax deeds. And there's a handful of auctions coming up. You'll see the Davidson auctions in the mix. One was canceled in August. One is not canceled yet for September, but we'll wait and see. And then you have, that leaves 4 other auctions coming up. So on our auction calendar again, let's select Tennessee. And this is how you would get to those auctions. You can see the number of parcels. If some of these are too small for what you're interested in, you can skip over them. And I wanted to show you the calendar especially because we've plotted out the Davidson auctions every month where they have been announced, but we don't have the properties yet. You'll see no parcels available, but you'll see the date. But we do have Two auctions. I'm sorry. Let me change this. I'm going to go to 2025 on my calendar to see everything next year. We have auctions into 2025. You'll notice in January there's Davidson announced with no parcels, but Shelby has two auctions next year that do have parcels available. This means they have preliminary lists that have been released by the county of delinquencies and what are intended to be going as tax deeds. The reason I bring this up, why are you preparing months and months, maybe even a year almost in advance? Some of you have been asking me, how do I get the most lead time on an auction? Because you like to contact owners and try to make cash offers. If you're a cash offer buyer, Shelby County, Tennessee is one of the better ones to go for because you have so much lead time. Between these two counties, between these two auctions in the same county, there's almost 4,000 parcels advertised here. So this is an area you could shop if you're trying to do that strategy. And going back, let's go to August of this year. Again, some of these are smaller auctions, but we'll map one of them in Anderson County and just take a look at what we see here. Sometimes you'll find on the map, when you look at it this way, some large chunks of land like this with 200 plus acres, and we'll click on that one. The Google card did not go there, and maybe just too remote, and there's no street address because there's probably not a mailbox for it, but we do have the auction information here. We'll be on GovEase, and we can also see we have maps to the Tennessee GIS site as well as the property assessment portal, which would give us more information about the property that way. So that's what you would need to go dig into that property further. And if you want to look at other properties on the right side here, you could find something maybe smaller acreage, maybe something with a house, or if you also wanted to filter your results, just click on the filter button here on the left, and you can say improvements only if we want to avoid vacant land. Give it a total value minimum of $20,000 and go from there. And now we're only looking at properties that actually have a structure on them, so it saves me some time. If I want to flip that strategy and say, you know what, clear my filters out and clear filters, and I want to do minimum 10 acres. That's another way you can go about it. There's 3 properties with at least 10 acres. That's kind of exciting if you're someone who wants to own land, but nice looking property here. Again, no street view image. The Google card does not go in the mountains apparently. But everything you need to know to buy the property is on GovEase right here, and researching the property on our property page here. So I think that's enough for Tennessee today. There's always, in a year-round market like this, there always seems to be something good to buy, or at least some opportunities to consider. And the last note on Tennessee is that they have over-the-counter properties in the Shelby Land Bank, which is also Memphis. There's a couple thousand of those on our site, and a lot of those were refreshed recently, so there's new opportunities there for you to check out in Tennessee over the counter. So Arkansas, like I mentioned, I think we're about a third, if you count the auctions that have happened, about a third into the season. They have originally advertised about 6,000 parcels. Of course, redemptions have been happening, and we've been tracking those daily to take properties out of the auctions. That season is going to end in September, but it started in July, so we're somewhere in the middle. Don't forget the over-the-counter tax deeds, which are just leftovers available in Arkansas. We always try to track when these get added, but it's sort of hit or miss. 1,600 were added in the last quarter of 2023, which is a nice haul. Only 100 added in the first quarter of 24, and only 30 have been added this summer. So it's potential that the pattern here is that you can expect them to be added late in the year, which makes sense because you want these are going to have to clear the auction and any other red tape before they make it out. And since the auction's in September, I wouldn't expect to see a lot of these properties added until late in the year. Now, the way those work, there's a lot of videos even on this channel and elsewhere about it. We have a video that talks about Arkansas off-season investing if you want to know more about this, but you can buy these year-round through the same auction site as the annual tax deed auctions. The difference is when new tax deeds arrive for the year, those are going to be in the annual in-person auctions, and the leftovers are sold online through these little kind of miniature auctions that happen every day to purchase those leftover tax deeds, which means if you bid on a property, it starts the auction. That auction is for one property, and people can bid against you, or of course the highest bidder would win. Let's take a quick look and just see where we stand in the Arkansas season. 24 auctions completed in July. 27 are happening in August as early as tomorrow. Again, these are in person. These are the annual tax deed auctions. It's your first shot at these new tax deed properties before they either sell or go to the leftover inventory. September we'll have 24 more auctions, and that's the end of the season. So almost an even split across those 3 months. And I'll put in my usual plug here. The Commissioner of State Lands in Arkansas is a great auction host. They do a great job organizing and just making this process simple and straightforward for you. So great state to invest in if you want redemption-free tax deeds. Indiana, this is right on the cusp of this fall season, which are the treasurer sales. And we have a video that goes through last year's treasurer sales. If you want to know the rules, if you want to know interest rates, redemptions, things like that, we will make another one. We're waiting on more of the auctions to release. We still expect some more counties to be added as fall approaches. And not to forget, we have foreclosure auctions as well, 44 of those in August, 45 in September so far. Let's take a look at Indiana's Indiana's auction calendar. And remember, for some of these states that have many auction types, you can filter. Right here, I'm going to filter to tax auctions, and that'll leave the foreclosures out. So we see the first of the auctions coming up right now in August, and then we move into September, and of course the big one is going to be Lake County with 11,000 parcels currently at auction. Other counties still have 505 in Jennings. I think we just kind of glossed over St. Joseph's has 1,179. Some of these auctions are very sizable because it's the first chance to buy tax liens on a lot of these properties. Now, some old liens will roll into this, but when you get new liens each year, this is where they debut. So the fall sales have more counties than the spring sales, and the fall sales have more properties in each auction. And that's because it's the first shot at those properties. This looks like it's Vigo, but I think the locals have told me you pronounce it Vigo County. I'm sure someone else will correct me if I'm wrong, but they have about 1,680 parcels available at the time we're looking at this today. So some of these auctions are pretty big. And then again, you can see a few like Hancock, Henry, and Jay right here, Fountain and Warren, where we're still waiting on those final lists to come out. Marion County is another big one, 2,001 properties. Let's open that one up. We always look at Lake County. Today we'll look at Marion. Marion is the Indianapolis area. Let's throw some county borders on here so you can see the area we're talking about. Yeah, this square county in the middle of the state, Indianapolis, Marion County. And 2,001 parcels. Let's break it down. Improvements, if we just want to see things that have a house, it takes about a quarter of them out for 1,500 properties. Let's throw a minimum $20,000 value minimum on there. That really didn't take any off. I guess let's go to 50,000. Valuations must be a little higher there. That took out a little more. And I mean, this is a great place to start. You can keep cutting and slicing below this. We could take like out-of-state owners if we really wanted to slice it, or out-of-city owners. That doesn't seem to do much. So then we could even do something like occupants if we wanted to see occupied only or vacant only. There's just a lot of ways you can slice this further. Acreage, taxes owed. Taxes owed is one we might want to consider. I'm going to put a $500 minimum. That's the minimum starting bid on a lien. Let's go higher. And let me put a max of $2,000. Oh, that's too low. Let's do $3,000. So this is going to be the cost of the lien. From $1,000 to $3,000. So if you're cost conscious or budget conscious and want to make sure you don't go over your budget, you could always filter here by how much taxes are owed. That's a good way to be budget conscious. Okay, so there will be a new video coming out in Indiana soon once we get all the auctions announced. So let's move on and talk about Texas. I just put out a Texas video very recently about the tax deeds, the sheriff sales, constable sales. These happen monthly. This month it's tomorrow, August 6th. So a little bit late if you're trying to invest this month. But the good news is September already has auctions on the site you can start looking at. Yeah, these tax deeds are available using multiple mechanisms. In general, it's sheriff sales, constable sales, sometimes even struck off properties that are repeats that didn't sell before. We're tracking about 90 counties now, but that doesn't mean we have 90 auctions. Not all counties have properties to auction off each month, so that's important to know. And there are more auctions coming in September that are already on the site and more to come. And our latest video really does go through how the process works, why is it an advantageous market, what are the benefits to you as an investor, and what kind of properties you can expect. So we won't retread all that ground here. I really think you should go watch the Texas video if you want to learn how to do this. But just so you can see the 41 sales we're tracking for tomorrow, these are not very large sales, 57, 54 properties in some of these. So moving into September, you can see we already have the first 6 sales already advertising some properties there. And let me try to show you, if I do map all the properties in Tarrant County. Let's try that. So you'll notice it only said 1 parcel available, but we have 388. That's because we have, we're tracking some deed auctions, but we're also tracking things that are pending auction and things that are struck off pending auction. So let's go look at the struck off pending auction. That means that this property right here was struck off and did not sell. So that's what this means. So there's no auction date known for this. We're still trying to sort through what all the struck offs in the state mean. A lot of times they go back to auction. Sometimes you can buy from the county as well. So you can expect to see more about that coming up on Parcel Fair. As well, let's go check out the pending auction. There's 340 that just haven't been scheduled yet. So you could research these properties in advance and keep an eye out for when they actually get advertised with the date. But for now, we know that this property has $30,000 due so far in back taxes, penalties, and fees, and that eventually it will be up for auction. So again, pending auction, it just means it's not scheduled yet. So a lot to see in Texas, and I do recommend watching that video that we've just put out on the channel. It's great information to get you started and understand how you're bidding and what are you buying. All right, North Carolina, tax deed foreclosure auctions that happen in person. We're always adding new auctions. We had 279 of those auctions in July. Already have 217 scheduled for August. Those numbers do get inflated because some of these auctions are upset bids where someone bids on a property and then someone bids again to upset in an upset period. And some of these properties can drag out. It's a very odd and interesting market there. We do have a deep dive video that explains all of that and more, intro to North Carolina tax deed auctions on this channel if you want to hear more about that. And again, we're tracking multiple types of auctions. Kind of like Texas, we have those pending auctions that are not yet scheduled. There are these scheduled auctions, which are scheduled, and you can see the date on those. And then we have upset bids that are after the auction happened, there's a window for you to come in and upset the bid. So that's the 3 types of auction properties we're tracking in North Carolina. All right, let's move on and talk about New Mexico. Not a ton going on here, but we have 5 auctions, 6 if you count the one that just happened, but 5 more coming in August. There are 2 on the 14th, 2 on the 15th, and 1 on the 27th. So if you are interested in New Mexico, those are available on the site. You can use the auction calendar like I've been showing in the video. That's good for any state that has auctions. You just select your state, and then there's the auctions, map it or list it, and that will show you what's in the auction. Virginia has 4 auctions coming up. One already happened a few days ago. And these are going to be mostly in-person auctions, but you would basically just go to the auction calendar if you want to see what's coming up in Virginia. And here they are. If you want to, so that you can see the size of the auction. If we wanted to go check out like Warren County, we could go map those properties out. And it looks like we have some properties in the mountains here, sort of wooded areas. It looks like residential lots for the most part if we click on some of these. And if you wanted to look into buying one of these, you would go to the details there. And the auction information is all available on the purchase option. This one's an in-person auction on August 28th. And that's how you would go see more information about the auction this way. And that's pretty much what you need to get started in Virginia, digging into those auctions. I will mention we do have a video on Virginia, and we have photo and video scouting services as well. Just briefly, let's take a look at how to see the scouting services. On any property in Virginia, you click the blue button right here underneath when there is a street view photo, and just submit your information here, and we'll connect you with the scout, and you can talk about pricing and what you need done, if it's video, photo, both, whatever that means to you. And if that works out, then you can use the scouting services. Ohio, we have like a steady stream of sheriff sales throughout the year. These are tax deed foreclosure auctions, as well as some foreclosures in the mix as well, just sort of all in the same sales. We're currently tracking 60 of these auctions for August, 27 more so far in September. And I sound like a broken record today. We have an intro video that will explain Ohio sheriff sales to you. That's on this channel if you want to learn more about investing in Ohio. In short, these auctions are going to start at a pretty high bid because they're very mature investments by the time they make it to auction here. You'll notice the amount due on some of these, $16,000 is the opening bid, and it's a $40,000 house, so that's, kind of gives you the deal there to work with. But if you move on down, some of these can have very high opening bids, like $166,000 on a $191,000 house. So just buyer beware. Make sure you understand the opening bids and the valuations when you're bidding. New Jersey is year-round, but it's sort of down to a trickle right now. We have one August and one September auction, and that's it. We do have a video to help you understand New Jersey, but let's take a peek at the auction calendar before we go to the next state. You can see 300 parcels in the one for August and 111 for September. So we do, from history, know that October, November, December are the big months for New Jersey. So right now, sort of the calm before the storm with a lot of auctions coming. Maryland, just when you think the season's over, we get one last auction, and it's a notable one too. It's Baltimore County, not to be confused with Baltimore City County, but Baltimore County. There are over 2,000 properties in this auction, and these are going to be tax liens available. You'll see, there you go. Whoops, not that. I meant to click there. So Baltimore City County is this middle section here where it says Baltimore. The outlying county, the suburb area, and all this around it is what it is Baltimore County. That's the auction coming up. So again, 2,000 properties coming up in that auction. I don't know if they're going to release another advertisement, but we've been tracking their advertisements to take properties out. This is sort of an example property you can see. And if you want to go bid on it, click the purchase option and go check out the tax sale information that takes you straight to the registration information here. And the auction list is available as well on the site there. Just those two links help you find what you need. August 22nd is the date, and it's online. So Maryland as well, we do have a video that covers this year's tax lien auction season if you want to see sort of how 2024 shaped up. And we do have those same photo and video scouting services that we have in Virginia here in Maryland. Underneath the Street View photo, if you want a scout, you just click this blue button. It just connects you with the scout so you can talk to them and decide if you want to get a photo, videos, or whatever from them. Louisiana, this is one of those preview states where we are sort of new. We have partial coverage of tax lien auctions. There's only one remaining that we're tracking. It's called the Town of Greenwood. If you know other tax lien auctions you'd like to see, it's not too late. Just let us know and we'll add it. We do ask if you have a link that helps save us some time. If you don't, we'll go look for it. And we also cover a lot of auctions on Civic Source that are sort of a pending auction. Adjudicated sales is what they call those. And you initiate an auction by placing a deposit, and just make sure you understand and read those auction rules. It's different than any state you've invested in, I promise. And there are a few OTC properties. It's the only ones we have right now are from the New Orleans Redevelopment Authority. We'll keep looking for more of those. If you are investing in Louisiana, please let us know, because we've not heard a lot of noise from our user base about Louisiana yet. I don't know if people are actually investing there. Florida, big market, lots of opportunity. That tax lien auction season is finished in June, and in June it finished. Over-the-counter liens are available. I think we've seen most of the ones released for the year that are coming, and throughout the year you're going to have tax deed auctions every month. 78 of those are scheduled in August. That's 78 auctions in August. 50 are already scheduled for September, and don't forget the foreclosure auctions as well. Over 300 of those for August. 220 already showing up for September, and still yet another way to buy in Florida. We have over-the-counter liens and over-the-counter tax deeds. So much to choose from in Florida. We'll take a peek at the calendar, and we cover this every time in the news video, so I won't stay for long on this. But in Florida, basically when we're checking out the auction calendar, you're going to want to filter this down because there's thousands of auctions throughout the year. You want to probably either do tax deed or foreclosures, whatever you're specifically interested in, filter the list like that. So I'm going to cut it down to just tax deed auctions like that. And now what we can see is going to be, in 1 second, there we go, the 78 auctions coming up this month. And you can pick and choose. Some counties happen multiple times in the month. Some counties auction once a month. And depending on what you're looking at, just click on the green button to map those properties, or the blue button if you prefer to see them in a list. And that's it. Colorado, we are in the off season, but we do have some foreclosures and over-the-counter liens that you can go through. And we do have 15 of those foreclosure auctions in July, 13 scheduled in August so far. We have an off-season investing video, but you're getting pretty close to the fall tax lien auction season, so that's just around the corner. We should hear some noise pretty soon about that, and so stay tuned about Colorado and the fall season. Mississippi, very similar story. We have an upcoming tax lien auction season. It's the end of August. We get the shortest lead time on this auction season than probably any other season. We only get a couple weeks to have these on the site, so 100,000 plus liens historically in this auction every year, and only 2 weeks to go through at 80 some odd counties. So Parcel Fair will save you loads of time if you need to filter quickly to the tax liens that meet your need and your strategy. We will help you find those quickly so you can go place your bids in advance of the auction online on GovEase. And it's really, I can't think of another way short of just writing your own tool. If you develop your own tool, that's going to cut through over 100,000 tax liens so quickly and help you identify what's in your strategy. Don't forget there are almost 7,000 over-the-counter tax deeds from the Mississippi Tax Forfeited Lands Division. You can buy those from the state year-round, and this is sort of a tracking of how many have been added each month throughout the year. May was our biggest month with 269 added. 20 more added in July, and so far we have 11 new over-the-counters added in August, only 5 days into the month. Alabama, auction season's behind us. We do have a healthy over-the-counter and reseller season. A lot of properties available, and I mean like 20,000 or more available in the state from over-the-counters and resellers. We do have an off-season investing video to guide you through many ways to buy in Alabama. And from land banks to the state, the city, resellers, even the counties sell some over-the-counter liens in a few cases. But this puts us right here in the auction season. We still have a few OTCs being released, and we're moving into August where we're starting to get into kind of that off-season. I will show you, I have some people that are not going to be happy about this, but I'm going to show you the latest Alabama new properties available. We're looking at Mobile County in Alabama. If I go check out the liens only over the counter. Okay, so over the counter liens, 741 were released a few days ago, and these are literally just liens sitting there at the full 12%, no competition, no auction. You just go click one and go to the report page here. Now if you click on the green purchase option button, everywhere in Parcel Fair this is the most important button because it shows you how to buy. We literally walk you through who to call and how to pay. They quote you over the phone and you buy it without a wait. Unlike other inventories in Alabama, like I said, you buy this without a wait. There's no competition. It's just you're buying directly from the county of Mobile. I will caution you, they don't update this list very frequently, so the 741 that are showing available now will not be there the next time they release. It'll probably drop, but for now there are 741. And one more trick, this happens in any market that has multiple liens on a property. In Alabama, for instance, you can foreclose after buying 3 liens, so you can filter by properties that have 3 liens available by clicking this filter that I'm highlighting right now on the screen, 3+ liens available. That shows there are 11 of those. There's 11 you could buy the 3 liens on and foreclose on immediately. If you want to just go ahead and get it for next year, you could buy 2+ liens available. That gets you 2/3 of the way, 93 of those. And if you view those properties, what you can do, let's just click on this one. We're going to take a look at the rooftop and everything. This property with the tarp on the roof, we can buy 2 available liens for it. We're looking at $218 per lien at 12% interest as well. Buy it from the county, click on this, call that number, and then next year when the taxes are due, you will get the first right of refusal, unless the owner redeems, of course, to pay the 3rd year of taxes, and then after that year is over, you could foreclose on the property. So the 3+ liens available, if you collect the 3 liens and it's been a year after the last auction, you can start the foreclosure. So again, any market that has multiple liens, you can run that search filter if you see it available here. But it's just interesting that in Mobile right now, we got a late release of over-the-counter liens that you can do that with. So if you made it this far into the video, then that's a nice little tip for you. And again, it's a very rewarding market in Alabama, and over-the-counter deeds, land banks, resellers, and then now over-the-counter liens as well. South Carolina, we have an upcoming fall tax lien auction season. We don't have dates on those yet, but we do have some foreclosures on parcel fair, and let's go just take a look at those. So you're not going to see a lot right now. We're just getting started with the foreclosures here, but a user requested that we add these, so we did. We have like Greenville, if we want to see the foreclosures there, and let's just take a peek at this nice looking house. Really nice area. And so this is in a Greenville foreclosure auction coming up, and that's how you would click on this information here. It's going to be, oh, it's being auctioned today. Sorry, a little too late for you. But it's at the Greenville County Courthouse today. And if you wanted to see information about it, it's basically whatever law firm is hosting the auction, you would be able to click and go straight to that site here. And so yeah, that's good information for going forward if you're interested in South Carolina. Maybe you're trying to invest there while the tax lien season is in the off season. All right, next up, Arizona. Over the counters, not a lot to talk about. They did dump about 20,000 new OTC liens. Over 7,000 of those have sold. Still some available if you're interested in buying in Arizona. Next up, Iowa, Nevada, Oklahoma, Utah are in their off seasons. We do periodically find OTCs for these. I'll be honest, there's not a lot out there. We get a lot of questions about Iowa, especially, I believe. And we're not finding much out there. So send us requests if you have them. We are happy to investigate and add them for you. And finally, if you've made it to this point of the video, we're going to talk about our new test markets now. Missouri and Pennsylvania. So how did we pick these markets? These were suggested by you, our users. Enough people asked about Missouri and Pennsylvania that we decided to test them out by adding some Missouri tax lien auctions for August. We have 7 of them so far. Happy to add more. We just need to know that you're interested and tell us what counties you want to see. Pennsylvania, we've added tax deed auctions. We have 3 of those coming up, and some sheriff sales as well. They call the tax deed auctions tax deed upset sales, so don't confuse that with North Carolina. It's a totally different meaning of the word, but we do have those sheriff sales and upset sales. If you want to see those on Parcel Fair, you can always just select your state right here on the filter. You will see Pennsylvania, and just see everything Pennsylvania. So there's 3,271 parcels available. I think we're in maybe the Philadelphia area here. I'm not sure. Yeah, so so you can see that. Then Missouri, if you wanted to go check out Missouri, you can always select it here, and we'll just there's 1,263 parcels there. You can look through Kansas City area, some of the Springfield area. And then, of course, if you'd rather go by the auction and the date, go to the auction calendar, select Missouri. There's the auctions for Missouri that are available. You can also go to Pennsylvania on the same screen and see our sheriff sales and upset sales available. So again, if you like Missouri or Pennsylvania, send us some counties. We'll add them if they're available. And please let us know how it's going there. We really want to know how you're succeeding, and if the challenges you're having, maybe we can help it through Parcel Fair. So keep us posted how it's going. And that's everything. If you made it this far, thank you. And reach out to us in the comments. We love to start up a dialogue, chat about new markets, and help you through any problems you're having in markets that we understand already. Like and subscribe to the video if you can. If you subscribe to this channel, you will be alerted to new videos, and it helps us know that there's interest here and that people are watching. So thanks again, and have a great week.